Hey, how's it going? This is Mr. Hernandez, and I'm going to be going over this last question for the Unit 6 study guide. This question is based on this parent function of the sine wave, where it starts at the midline is at 0 with an amplitude of 1. There's no horizontal or phase shift, so it starts at 0. And because the midline is at 0, the vertical shift is 0 as well. The period is from 0 to 2 pi, which makes this a 1. And so we're going to use this information, these four parameters, to be able to determine what's the best equation for each of these two sine functions. So what I would recommend doing before anything is drawing the midline. And so here's the midline, and what that is also called is your vertical shift. So notice both of these have the correct midline. The next thing I might check would be the amplitude. That's basically how far high the maximum is and the minimum is to the midline. In this case, the amplitude is 1. And so notice that these are both 1 as well. So those both check out. Another thing you could check is this value right here, which is your B value. And so when you look at the B value, you want to make sure that it satisfies the condition of the period. The period uses the formula 2 pi over B. And so if I want to check the B value for A, that B value is 2. So I'm going to plug it in here. It would be 2 pi over 2, which reduces to just 1 pi. And so if we look at this this sine wave, the question is, what is the period? Well, when you're determining the period of a sine function, you could go, in this case, maximum to maximum, what's this distance? Minimum to minimum, what's this distance? But notice you're not given two maximums or two minimums, really. All you're given is this wave, which actually fits this 5-point, definition of the period. And so if I count 5 points from the midline on here, this would be, let's say, 0.1 on the midline, 0.2 is the maximum, 0.3 is back to the midline, 0.4 is the minimum, and then 0.5 is back to the midline. And so the distance from the first point to the fifth point is your period. And when you look down here, that would be from 0 to 4 pi. So in this case, the period is 4 pi because that's the distance it takes to get through the 5 points. And so in this case, this would not be showing the period because it is just saying that it's pi when you plug in this value for B. So if I cross that out, then I want to say, well, let's make sure this is the correct value for B. So if I plug in this value of B, 1/2 for option B, into this, it would end up getting us 2 pi over 1/2. Since B in this case is 1/2, I'm replacing B with 1/2. And then we're going to have to rewrite this as 2 pi divided by 1/2 like this. Since a fraction bar means division, you could write it like this. And then when you divide fractions, you do keep, change, flip. So we're going to keep this first one the same, change the division to multiplication, and then we're going to flip this second fraction, which is the reciprocal. And then when you multiply straight across, you get 4 pi over 1, which is just 4 pi. And that does match, this 4 pi does match the actual period. And so I would say that would be the correct answer.